Hey guys, welcome back to more Mustang stuff. Just want to make a short video. I've talked about this stuff before, but I've kind of started to tear into it a little bit, and I think might have some more ideas. It maybe I can make some progress here one of these days on this. But I'd mentioned before that when I turn the key, the car has power, fuel pump comes on, and then nothing. And not like a dead battery, nothing, where you get like a click or a or even trying to crank it over. There's just nothing at all. With that being said, we have had it running before.
I'll be that guy now.
And as I mentioned before also, is that we jumped the starter solenoid, or starter relay, sorry. We jumped that to get it to go. So it runs. So that means that somewhere in here is a disconnect between the key and all of this. So I was just going to point out some things that I've been checking, and whether this helps anyone, which I doubt, or inadvertently helps me, because maybe some random person will find it and say, hey stupid, it's this. Or my good buddy Dan is going to help me take a look at it and diagnose some stuff, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if he watches it, then he might have some ideas too. So that's a win-win. I want this thing started. I'm getting tired of it sitting here. I got exhaust to put on. He was nice enough to give me a header bolt that magically disappeared when I moved. So it's getting closer, and I'm getting antsy because the truck is, for all intents and purposes, done for the time being. This poor girl is in limbo, and she's going to stay there for also the time being. But yeah, I'm getting kind of jazzed up about getting this thing going. I just want to hear what it sounds like. I haven't heard what it sounded like for over a year, and I haven't heard the new exhaust on it. So, onward with this stuff. So you'll notice just the battery is disconnected, so that would be an issue, was why it wouldn't start. But I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. So, first things I checked, and I'll kind of go around here. Don't mind the computer here. That I will talk about later. Okay, so this was in it. This is your fuel shutoff. And, inertia switch. Basically pop this, or if you get an accident and there's enough collision, this will pop. And basically it won't let the fuel pump kick on. So it's especially good, if you get rear-ended or something, and I don't know where I'm going with that. Things. I actually had one of these in my 93 SHO that got tripped. I replaced the fuel pump in it with a new one. Still didn't work, so I dropped the tank again, put the old fuel pump in, and then realized that I took a sharp corner in that car on the way to work one day, and a box that I had in the back slid over, and popped the inertia switch. So my car wouldn't start. Needless to say, live and learn. I know this works. It's just out of the car at the moment. So then, with that being said, obviously you have that, you have the fuel pump, And that I know works because, it would prime up and everything. And like I said, the car started before. But now it's staying on continuously when I put power to this thing and try and crank it over. Which leads me into something that I saw online, which I think is where I'm going to end up going with this. And all of my babbling will lead to something, I promise. So, anywho, this little ignition switch down here, I bought a new one of these because they were cheap, and I thought, why not at least give it a try. It doesn't seem to have done anything as far as that goes, but it was worth a shot. I mean, I'm not out much money for that, but that's another issue. This obviously is an issue too if this doesn't work, but I mean, it's pretty good. And all the wiring that's down here, and obviously I don't know a whole lot about wiring, but I'm just looking for things that are like chewed apart, mice and all that fun stuff. And I, for the life of me, could not find anything that looked like it was frayed or cut or anything like that. So, after all of that being said, I went online to YouTube, as most people do these days, for solutions and answers, or entertainment, or mindless garbage, whatever you're into. I found a guy who was talking about how if you have a bad PCM or ECU or whatever computer, that, at least in his test, you got full power, but it wouldn't crank, and your fuel pump would just stay on. There was no initial, you turn the key and it goes, eeeh, and then shuts off. It was just on constantly. So I pulled the computer, and I honestly think that is the issue. Aside from anything like there could be a ground that's missing, something like that. But from my limited knowledge of wiring and things like that, I've never had to, I've never had to diagnose anything of this kind to any of the vehicles I've had. So it's kind of uncharted territory for me, and I'm glad that I have people who know what they're doing around me to give me some advice. But I'll bring this over here. I'm wondering if this is the culprit right here. It's a DA1 for, I think, 80, I want to say 86, 87, 5-speed, 5.0 manual, or, 5.0 is a manual, or sorry, 5-speed's a manual. Ooh, I'm having a hard time today. Anyhow, for a speed density car, no mass airflow, all that stuff. And my buddy Dan has a couple of these. I think he's going to let me try and see if that's the issue. There are a couple capacitors in here that, on that video that I saw, that the guy was testing, he ended up replacing those because they were blown, and it fixed it. So that may be the issue. I don't know. But Dan's going to let me try a computer and see if that works. And I think that's about it. I mean, the clutch or the neutral safety switch is fine. I tested that. It's good. Pretty much every ignition system that I could think of is fine. So, I mean, that kind of just leads me squarely to this. And don't mind that. That is my handiwork. I'm kind of embarrassed to show you that, but I found this when I pulled this out of the car. You can see these. These bolts aren't in bad shape. But for whatever reason on this side, it was corroded. I mean, kind of like you would expect. But interestingly enough, it was smooth. Like it was completely ground down and like stripped out as far as the top of the bolt goes. I could not get anything on it. I don't know how that happened or why it happened. I don't think corrosion eats through. I don't think corrosion like smooths your bolt head out. I could be wrong. Anyway, I had to cut that out just to check and look at some stuff. But it is what it is. So hopefully it's trash so I don't feel so bad about it. Yeah. So yeah, that's, with all of this being said and me rambling on in circles, this is kind of where I'm looking at. And I really hope that that is the issue. I hope that I can kind of put some stuff back together. Obviously I got to get my exhaust manifolds back on, at least, I don't know, at least tight enough to where I'm not going to have a huge leak. And then I'm going to try and start it. I really just hope that I can do that, because I don't know, it's just baffling me. And maybe I'm thinking too much about it. Maybe there's some simple solution. And like I said, if anybody has any ideas, you know, I'm open. But I think we narrowed it down. So I may have an update here soon where I'm actually able to move this thing under its own power. Because I mean, it's fine, really. I need to bleed the brakes a little bit, but I could theoretically drive this thing, you know, into the shed. So I got to thank you guys, because I got really good, I got a lot of views right off the bat for my last Mustang video. A lot of just, I don't know, I can't think of the word right now. It's just, that does seem to be what most people are interested in, and that's great. That's cool, because, you know, I'm interested too, and it irritates me that it's just sitting here, but it's coming along. Like I said before, I still have that brace to go across the front for the floor, but the floor pans are here. They've been here for a while, but both sides, so they're ready to go in. You just got to cut some stuff out and, you know, all that fun stuff. But this, yeah, it's the last thing I got to order for the bodywork here, and then just patch panels. Yeah. So, all right. That being said, really appreciate everybody's input and stuff so far, and the views and all that stuff. So I'll see you next time. Later.